What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to Path of Exile. So, a lot of people have been asking me if I could do a little build video basically on what I did. So, we're on the Heist League, and this is about I don't know, we're about 1 month in, more or less. And I made it to level 95, and I just wanted to share my build. Hexblast was one of the new gems that came out with this patch, basically. And so there are probably guides out there. There's not too many since the ability is new, and not too many fully tweaked ones. So I thought I'd share mine. So yeah, just to give you an idea of where everything is at. Level 95. Honestly, I did everything before that, so just 95 is just bonus stats. I get this. And for our challenges, we have 31 out of 40 in the Heist League. Basically, we have the relevant bosses done. In terms of our Atlas, we have Awakened 8 Cirrus down. Of course, Uber Elder down. Shaper Elder, everything pretty much. And other bosses down. So, yeah, that's generally where we're at. So, most of you guys are going to be curious about the gear and all that stuff. So, before I get into anything, I'll leave a link to my profile in the description because recently Path of Building, or Pastebin more specifically, has been deleting PoE links that are new. So I have one, but it's kind of out of date at this point. So I'm just going to leave my profile link in the description. So if you want to check that out and see everything there, or if you have Path of Building, you could also check it out and then put in the calculation numbers. But for the community fork one, you have to manually enable the gems. So like right here, these won't be enabled by default. So you're gonna have to manually click them all. And you would have to also add the Doom and Hex numbers in the calculations because it's not automatically applied. So just wanted to let you guys know about that if you are using Path of Building. And let's get into the gear. So, we are playing basically the Mind Over Matter, Ignite, Hexblast. In the beginning of the league, I tried playing this build with a Chaos Inoculation, and it wasn't bad. I could still do bosses, but there was just like more of a hard cap of where I could have been. Whereas if you're doing the Mind Over Matter, you can scale it higher, basically. Either way, they're both good. Just one is harder to build than the other. So, let's go over the gear first. We have a Cloak of Defiance as our chest piece. Obviously, we're having Hexblast as our main skill. Now, recently, I think in the past year or so, they started adding different gems, like normal, and then anomalous, divergent, awakened. There's so many different kinds. It's actually hard to understand what they all do. But basically, just in terms of alternate gems, they take out one line and replace it with another line. So it depends on what build you're doing. You're just gonna have to look that up. But for a Hexblast in particular, divergent is the most DPS. It's also the most expensive, but it's also the most DPS. But they do have anomalous and regular one. So for this one, you get increased damage with ailments and affect non-damaging ailments, I believe. So I do believe I have a level 21 Hexblast. So this one is more area of effect, whereas this one is increased effect of non-damaging ailments on enemies and more damage with ailments. In PoB, this Divergent has just been generally said as the more damaging one, and calculations prove it. So then we have Awakened Burning damage because our build is mostly Ignite, Burning, Fire damage in a nutshell. So we want that one. We did choose the Awakened Burning because that one's just more. Also more expensive. I used the regular Burning up until like low 90s, so it's one of those things where the difference between regular and awakened or supports or alternate qualities basically, is just min-maxing damage. You do more, but you also pay more. Basically, you could get away with just using all the regular gems. So just keep that in mind. Over here we have Awakened Deadly Ailments. This one was expensive when I bought it. But basically you're just adding 10% more damage, which, believe it or not, is a lot. Ignite Proliferation. Because we ignite, more damage, more fire damage. Anomalous Combustion, better than regular combustion, more damage. Archmage, because that just scales your damage extremely high. So basically this one, it increases the mana cost of everything. More damage. It's actually pretty good. So I think overall, the first month of the league, the Cloak of Defiance 6 links are pretty expensive, and I think I paid around 400 Chaos Orbs. And just to give you an idea, in Heist League, because this league has been interesting where GGG has been banning trade bots and all that stuff, which is actually good because I like how my Chaos Orb is worth more, but I also think that when I start trading people, I get less responses, which is also kind of counterproductive. I wish there was just an in-game marketplace where, like, for example, if you list it from your stash, and someone buys it, it would just, like, I don't know how they would code it or program it, but it's just like the way other MMOs or something do it. It's like you have your shop, people buy it, you get the money, collect the money, zero player interaction if they don't want to, or you can just spam it in, you know, zone chat, whatever, the usual. So maybe one day that'll be some sort of implementation. But anyway, so each chaos or exalt is about 60 chaos to 1 exalt for this league, and so 400, basically around 6 to 7 exalts depending on what kind of stats you're looking for. Now I just have the normal one. I don't have any crazy like 6 white sockets or implicits one, which I am kind of looking for, but the price range of that goes from like 4 exalts to like 50, so that's one of those things you get later on. Helmet we have next is the Crown of the Inward Eye. Gonna be honest, I don't really know what the transfiguration of the things mean, or is that just like flavor text? But basically you want the increased life, mana, global energy shield. Well, you don't actually use energy shield, but we'll get to that later. I also have this because the Hexblast deals 40% more damage, and that's our build. So yeah, so in our thing here we have Stormbrand, critical strikes, faster casting, and Culling Strike. There is a way to get Culling Strike on your jewelry as a mod, but it's really just easier here. And basically you hit Stormbrand. So I'll show you how to play it afterwards, and then we'll do a map. So I'll show you. So this one over here, if you place it on the ground and there are enemies nearby, it like sticks to them. And then we also have Culling Strike support. So like if the enemy's at 10% or less, Culling Strike will just kill it, and then this Stormbrand just latches onto an enemy, and you just win. And believe it or not, when you're bossing, it's very good. On our weapon, we have a rare. So that's kind of stats you're looking for. I decided to go with the scepter and the shield route. I've seen people do 2 wands and or just like wand and something else. I don't know. It really depends on if you're going chaos inoculation or just mind over matter. And so the route we went is the mind over matter one. So in general, I do believe that Hexblast scales more off of elemental damage than spell damage. It's kind of weird, but that's just the way it is. And so what you're going to want to look for is percent fire damage, maximum mana, fire damage over time, and anything else is just kind of nice. This staff, or the scepter, isn't really the best thing. It's literally all I could find nowadays, but if I could upgrade, that would be better. but it basically has all the stats I want, like fire damage, mana, fire damage over time multiplier, elemental damage, always good. So yeah, those are what you want. What you do not want is spells or like number of damage to number of damage for spells, and that just kind of will ruin the build and do lower damage because we have elemental equilibrium, the passive that we'll get into a little bit later. So you do not want like spell damage numbers on there, like flat damage for that to spells. You don't want that. So our shield, we have just another rare. This is what I actually was using before, and then this is what we're doing now. It's more just like min-max thing. So spell damage, it does affect, it's just less relevant. Again, what you want is fire damage, life, mana, I guess, and anything else is good. So one thing I had on this one was resistances, mana regen. Like basically, if you look at this one, all the stats are what you want. How you balance your elemental resist is up to you, but if you can get mana regen with everything else, that's good. But the difference why I don't use this one anymore is because the other one's just better. So yeah, I don't have mana regen on this one, but it has higher like life and mana pools. It also has more fire damage, which is why I wanted it. So what we have connected to this one is flammability. This is going to be your main spammable next to Hexblast. So just to give you an idea of how this plays is if you enjoyed Essence Drain or Contagion, I used to play that build a few leagues ago. I like it. This is why I also like Hexblast. Then it feels similar. So basically, this is what you're doing. That's like 4 different curses going off. So what you're spamming is the X, which is your flammability, and you're connecting that to enhance 4. And so basically you have a 44% quality anomalous flammability. So the difference between anomalous and regular is if you are self-casting flammability, you want to go anomalous, but if you are keeping this on like your gloves where it auto-casts something, then regular is also fine. Enhance will just boost it manually, so you kind of want to go for the highest enhance possible, so 4. And if you can, try to get this to 21, level 21, 20 quality, just makes it better. Now here we have Impending Doom. This is more for like, not really the damage. Damage is nice, but it's more as like trigger the skill when the Hex supported ends, and more damage per 5 Doom on Hex, and the AoE is, I guess, nice to have. But important things are flammability, enhance, and I guess Impending Doom. So keep in mind, my build is pretty like, everything is important. There are no free slots, though there are ways you can swap them out. So there, you might have seen another build where they use 2 reds and a blue. I used to do that before, where they had, where is it? Yeah, a spell totem, multiple totem, and I think it was like Scorching Ray. Now that one does more damage, Scorching Ray, with the totems. So if you're self-casting, it's 10%, and totems, Scorching Ray does 25% ignite. But the problem is, I just hate casting totems with this build because you're already having like a 1-2, like with flammability and Hexblast plus another totem. Then you have to manually watch your Arcane Cloak, Sigil of Power, which we'll get into later. So it's just one of those things. I gave up damage for just not having to spam buttons, basically. So we have Arcane Cloak here, Arcane Surge, and Increased Duration. Duration boosts these. Arcane Cloak is basically your survivability. This is what it looks like when you hit Arcane Cloak. You basically trade about 64% of your mana to get a shield, and you can see the stats here. So Arcane Cloak. Then we have Arcane Surge. When you use X amount of mana, get more spell damage, cast speed, so it's like one of those things you use in a combo. Next we have Vixen's Entrapment. Now this one is actually something that's easy to get but hard to min-max. Now, before I've had like so many different kinds of, I don't even know if I still have them actually, but I'm pretty sure I went through a lot of them. Yeah, just trying to min-max it, and here's another one. I don't even think that's what 75 chaos anymore. But anyway, so you see how this one had cursed enemies with despair on hit. Now that was before when I was doing chaos inoculation, it was just a free thing. But now, so the reason why you're going for this glove is because it triggers a socketed curse skill when you cast a curse skill. So it also allows you to apply an additional curse. Same with your Wind Shriek, and we also have a Whispers of Doom, which is over here, which allows you to apply an additional curse. So that's 4 different curses, right? So flammability, yourself, your main spammable. Curse number 1, elemental weakness. Curse number 2, despair. Curse number 3, and temporal chains. Curse number 4. That's where, like, you see when I hit flammability, you see all these like circles come up. Yeah, those are all the different curses. Like when you stack them, trigger a socketed curse skill. When you cast one, class flammability, you cast 3 more. That's cool, isn't it? I know. So the stats you want on here are really like, since you are going to be giving up your energy shield entirely, that stat is irrelevant. If you corrupt it, you could get like 5% life, I guess. That one's good. I don't know. Curse skills have a 20% increased cast speed. Sure, why not? Everything else is kind of irrelevant. What you really want is really, I guess the 5% life is good, but you're using it because it applies an additional curse, and you use your 3 more curses when you cast 1 curse. So, fun. Now here's our shoes. We have Wind Shriek, and this is one that's going to be difficult. So what you're going to want in terms of stats are elemental damage, resist, and I've been trying to divine mine for a long time, trying to get 20% elemental damage, but it's just not happening. In terms of the armor, kind of irrelevant. Elemental resistances, you can get away with mineral if you get better jewelry. All you really want is elemental damage, but the hardest part of this one, so this item normally by default is a strength item. So that means getting blue sockets and green, or just any sockets not red, is going to be very difficult. So what I would recommend to you guys, if you are going to get this or go this route with the shoes, it's very min-max to the point where like you really do need 3 blues and 1 green on most of your pieces. Or if you could get 4 white sockets, that's even better. I mean, it's one of the scary things you could do, but if you're going for non-white sockets, 3 blue, 1 green, we have Sigil of Power, increased area of effect, Anomalous Flame Dash, and Anomalous Second Wind. So Flame Dash versus Anomalous Flame Dash. Anomalous gives 20% more travel distance. That's good. You don't use Flame Dash for the damage, just throwing that out there. Now we have Anomalous Second Wind, and the difference between this one and the other one is the regular Second Wind has 25% increased cooldown rate, so basically the cooldown goes faster, whereas this one has a slower, but you can use additional uses. So like right here, you see that 5 on the Flame Dash. I can Flame Dash 5 times before, like, well, the cooldowns go off on the first time, but you can basically insta-cast it 5 times. Whereas the other ones you can only use 3 by default. So 3 plus 2 is 5. Good. So realistically, when you're looking at it, the cooldown time on the tooltip, if you had the regular one, it'd be like 1.7 or 1.6. And then if you have this one, it's 1.8, but you get to use it 2 more times. Min-maxing, really up to you. I just think the anomalous one works better for me. So yeah, that's been my armor. Everything else in terms of jewelry is just resist, life, and any sort of fire damage you can get. So one thing that's pretty important on your amulet, you're going to want to anoint Whispers of Doom. And unfortunately and fortunately, this is expensive. Whispers of Doom is up here. There is a way you could build up to here, like with CI or Chaos Inoculation. It's pretty easy. There's a few paths you can go. One would be from up here. You can connect all these nodes up to here, connect these nodes, go up here, and then get this and this one. And then obviously if you're Chaos Inoculation, you would be getting this one. So you would be up here by default. That's another like 20 points or something. But I chose to spec out of it. I actually have a video. Check the link in the description. There's a playlist, and you could watch my mid like 80s to CI, and for the most part the tree is kind of the same. The things you would have to give up if you're going CI is like, since you're going to be taking a lot of nodes over here, what you're going to probably not have is all of these. So we'll get into that in a second. So what you're going to have to look for is generally, I would say about 100-ish. 98 dexterity is something you want to aim for. Like, here's the thing. I do have a... Yeah, so you might be wondering why my Culling Strike is level 15, right? So I do have a Culling Strike at level 2020, but it requires 111 dexterity. I have 109 dexterity. So, like, I could probably get it to 19 safely, but honestly, you just use it for the 10%. It's not even really a big deal. So, yeah, it's one of those things where you might have to get like a dexterity amulet and then add the quality attribute modifiers. And the way you do that is if you have a metamorph thing, intrinsic catalysts, you need 20 of them. Good. Just add them. They add attributes, so dexterity, strength, and all that stuff. Is that the best? I don't know. Probably not. I could probably switch that out for more life and mana if I wanted to, and that'd also be fine, but kind of irrelevant. So what you want on this one: resist if you need it, percent to increase mana, flat mana, life, and any attributes you may have remaining left over. And of course, the important part is Whispers of Doom. Ring, again, basically all jewelry is the same. This is where you're going to get your resist from. So just to give you an idea, this is what mine look like right now. We do have like a 72 fire resist, which is not the greatest. Now that I think of it, like, let me just fix that real quick. Fire lightning. Where is it? Or like all resist, doesn't matter. Can I hit 16? Oh wait, fire lightning. Where is it? Oh my god, it's only level 2. Oh wait, they're all level 2. Can I hit a 13, or can I hit a 16% first try? Yes, we can. Great. All the 75s are as working as intended. The chaos resistance, honestly, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, whether you're at negative 60 or in a positive, if you're planning on doing super endgame bosses, you're probably going to get one shot out of that regardless. So it's really just play style and do you know the mechanics really well. So yeah, again, jewelry is where you're going to get Resistances, life, mana, and anything else that you can get is generally good. So that's really all you want. Attributes, life, mana, and resists. So in our belt right here, Stygian Vise would just be min-maxed. And what you want here are resists, life, mana, more attributes. But the reason why we went the Stygian Vise route is, one, because we're at kind of late game and I've been trying to min-max my build. So that's really what I needed. But the important thing is the extra jewel socket you get adds a lot more flat stats, and it's pretty good. Now, I actually just got this gem today, and Corrupted Blood cannot be inflicted on you. Now, I literally got it today, but I was also able to beat every single boss without it. It's just one less thing that you have to worry about, but it's very doable without. So, basically, Corrupted Blood is, instead of bleeding, well, it is like another form of bleeding, but Corrupted Blood stacks damages on you, or stacks bleed, and then your health just goes from 100 to 0. And now that it doesn't happen. So I see a lot of people are like, oh, you need this gem if you want to do Cyrus or various other bosses. No, you really don't need it. It's just nice to have. Do you know, if you want to know how to prevent it, you just get a flask and remove bleeding. That's it. One is one is like 2 exalts, one is like 1 alch orb. So depends how much money you have. You can get away without it. Honestly, I beat every relevant boss without it, so you don't need it. So yeah, that's basically everything here. In terms of the trinket, this is the Heist League mechanic. If you're doing Heist at all, you basically get cool stuff. If you're watching this like 2 years later and Heist isn't even in the game anymore, well, this is irrelevant. You don't need it. So anyway, what we are looking for here is 1 health flask, because not dying is pretty nice. You could honestly just have, what you want is immunity to bleeding, 1 with immunity to bleeding, curses, freezing, and that's basically it. You could, however you stack that is on you. 1 mana flask. You don't have to copy me, just like, you want freezing, remove curses, and remove bleeding. I have 2 freezes because for bossing, certain bosses freeze you a lot, like the Veritania fight as one of those middle warlords, I guess. And then the biggest thing you're going to want is a Cinder Swallow, and this is going to help you so much in terms of survivability. And if you're going to route I am, you're going to want life and mana at 3%. Now, I just kept this one because I had it back, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. And it was like, hey, you're playing Chaos Inoculation, you want Energy Shield and mana. So I had those, and then nowadays, honestly, it doesn't matter as long as they're not all 1%. And then, as for the crafted modifier, or not crafted, but like the unveiled, I guess reduced mana is what you really want. So it goes from 25 to 20. So it's one of those things where you can't fix it over again. So it's like once you unveil it once, you just hope that it rolls the highest possible. As for flasks, that's basically it. I don't think there's anything else. Hold on, let me just check. Do I have a... No. There's another one for damage. This one's survivability, but if you wanted to replace this one and not use the Despair Curse, you could use like a Witchfire's Brew. Good enough. But yeah. So let's go over our tree. Oh boy. So I changed my tree so many times that I think I used probably 300 regrets, maybe more, this entire league. So from level 1 to like high 80s when you're starting to like play the game, and just go through Act 10, do like maps up to like Act 5 or something. I just used kind of random gear and just built however I was playing. So this is more or less my done version, but the way I ran it first, so again, I went Chaos Inoculation, or just built randomly and then spec'd into Chaos Inoculation, which is a whole different like line of stuff that you have to get, and you have to remove a lot if you're speccing out of it. So it's one thing you kind of have to like pick what you want to do as soon as possible. Don't be like indecisive like I was, and it's like, hey, I want to play CI, and then I don't want to play CI anymore. So just one of those things. So this is how you started. How I went when I first started was down this line, got some of these, got these two over here because life, and then went up, moved all these. I got a lot of these nodes over here, and then for the most part these are still the same. I didn't go the bottom route, I went top route and got all those. I didn't really have good socket or jewels until later. We'll get into that later. And then you go down regardless of what you're playing and getting the life and all these nodes. So the important things you're probably going to want to get are Intuitive Leap and Pass, because this build, I would say you're super hard maxed on like skill points that you need. So something that's going to be important for you is to try to min-max as much of the nodes as possible to get what you want. And Intuitive Leap allows you to connect things into circle without having to fully connect them. So like one here would take 5 normally. You only use 3. The blast radius, honestly, I don't think that's really relevant, to be honest. Area damage is whatever. You'd rather have flame scaling. But if you find yourself dying more, you could probably sacrifice blast radius node to get more health at the bottom if you're around there. If you're not, there's more health nodes over here, and there's also some health nodes over here. Get everything else, or just get more health nodes over here, depending on how good you are at dodging mechanics. And so like by having this jewel, we save 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess this one whatever, but it's not really necessary. We'll just count it anyway. 5, 6, like 7, 8. You save 8 skill points by doing this, and then you're able to put all the skill points into here, which we'll get to about now. People say Doomsday was good for Hex, and honestly, like, I couldn't even tell the difference. I didn't even notice when I had it. So keep in mind, these jewels, if you look for them yourself, one thing I will mention is you're going to want to very carefully look at these stats. So 1 adds 8 passive skills. This goes from 8 all the way to like 12, I believe. And you want the least number of passives possible to get everything you can, or all the important ones, and the least number of skill points, because as I said before, you're min-maxing. So this dumb gem alone, for me, when I bought it anyway, it was like probably like 4 exalts. It's probably less now. Like every day the league goes on, prices get cheaper for everything. So 8 passive skills, important. The added small passives are 12% fire damage. I think that's just given. You can't change them. So you know what you can roll. So you're going to want Burning Bright, Disorienting Display, and Prismatic Heart, because one of the Burning Bright is basically like fire damage. Prismatic Heart, I think, is elemental damage, and Disorienting Display is like, or one of them, I don't, let me actually just look at it so I'm not saying random stuff. Burning Bright, fire damage over time, multiplier fire damage, and AoE. Literally the build is very important. Disorienting Display, increased elemental damage, and 10% chance to blind enemies when you use elemental skills. That is Hexblast. Prismatic Heart, elemental resist, and elemental damage. Least important of the 3, but Prismatic Heart, it kind of helps you min-max your resistances later. So I guess it is important. And what I have here are 4 passive skills. It's very important that I say 4 passives, because this one can go between 4 and like 6, I believe. For medium, it goes from 4 to 6, so you want 4, exactly 4. We have Blowback and Cooked Alive. The added small passive is kind of irrelevant if you want to min-max that with more like attributes or resistances. That's also good. But over here we have really the fire damage over time. Scaling is very important, so you want that one. Cooked Alive and Chance to Ignite, very important. Enemies ignited by you have fire resistance, so have you noticed the pattern? Ignite, Hexblast with flammability. Yeah, we want a lot of fire scaling. Ignite, you deal damage 15% faster. Good. Blowback is a little bit more important than Cooked Alive, but you want both of them. So if you are on a budget and can only pick one or the other, or if you're a solo self-found, I would prioritize Blowback before the other one. And in terms of jewels, now this one is kind of tricky because the price range is all over the place, but what you want at very minimum is fire damage over time multiplier, life, and mana. The 4th stat, irrelevant. I don't even use poison. It's just kind of there when I bought it. So here's the minimums if you want to look at it. Generally, the highest priority stat would be a 4% to fire damage over time. That is what you want at the very minimum. The life and mana, just the higher, obviously higher the better, but want to, again, min-max. I would also prioritize life over mana, so if you had a choice of 6% mana, or no, 6% life, 10% mana, or 7 and 9, you would pick the life over mana. But at all costs, you want the 4% of fire damage over time multiplier. And then here, again, these are basically the same thing, just different stats. Blowback and Cooked Alive, same thing. And again, over here, 4% fire damage over time multiplier, and life and mana. Bare minimum you really want, if you want to min-max it and corrupt it even more, good. I could show you some of that later. Elemental Overload, very good. You're going to be blasting things, and then you pick up here more life, chaos resistance. The chaos resistance part is kind of irrelevant. It's min-maxing. Fire damage, ignite, very good. Then you go down over here. Now this one was an expensive jewel because same thing, life, mana, fire damage. Now this one, reduced mana cost of skills and damage penetrates 1% fire resistance. More damage, high cost, end game. Don't worry about the other stats as much. Elemental Equilibrium. When you hit enemies with elemental damage, they get 25% to those resist and minus 50 to the others. So if you have, like, that's why I said earlier, when your weapon, you do not want fire damage spell attack or fire damage spell damage, whatever the heck, like when it says like 10 to 20 fire damage to spells. You do not want that, because why? If you hit the enemy with a spell, they gain resistance and then everything goes down. So that's bad. When you use Elemental Equilibrium, it gives so much damage when they get negative damage on that. So basically, this is what happens. Elemental resistances drops it even more, slow, and then despair. So yeah, it's one of those things where you're basically debuffing the enemy down to like negatives or something, and then you hit them with an ignite and they die. More mana, because you want your mana pool pretty high because mind over matter. I was able to beat Cyrus with 3.4 or 3.3k health and like 7k mana. It's kind of sketch, but you could do it. And then obviously just pick up more life nodes as you min-max your build. More life, more mana, the better. Another jewel over here, 4% life mana, basically same thing. And then this one is also a pretty good one. I paid like an exalt for. If it was 7% life, that would have been better, but really, like, you want the damage over the life. Then you get the agnostic, which is basically you're giving up your energy shield, so no matter what the energy shield is, it'll be 0. But while you're not on full life, sacrifice mana to recover that much life. This is why you want a large mana pool, and then you'll be on full life. And then over here, you just want more mana, life, just more resources. Not dying is pretty nice. Yep. So I think that covers my entire build. We could go do a map. Hold on, let me just pick something. Let's juice out a map real quick, and I'll show you what it looks like. The things you can't do in terms of maps is no elemental reflect. This one might be a little sketch because of the curses, but honestly, my damage scaling is so high. Yeah, you see this mod? That's bad. You do not want that. Those are like everything that you don't want. Unique boss is more damage. Cool. Rogue exiles. Sure, whatever. Do I have a doesn't really matter if you didn't have a delirium mod on there. You just delirium it. Whatever. I don't actually care. So yeah, basically how this works. Sigil of Power. Stand in it. Get bonuses. Arcane Cloak. Shield is your defensive ability. Stormbrand when enemies or bosses are at low health. And a Culling Strike 'em, flammability, how you spam this one, get 3 more curses because of the Vixens, and your Flame Dash is your movement. Hexblast remains spammable, and let's start it up. This is a tier 16. That's all the best I can get. Let's show you how it's done.
That was fun.
I'll get the loot later. Let me just... I do want that though now. So again, how it works, drop your flammability, hit them with the Hexblast. Oh, I should have done a Guardian map. We did that after. Oh, that's what you get for looting. I'll do a Guardian map after. Alright, no more looting. We'll loot everything later. Let me just clear map first.
Just need a moment to catch my breath.
And if you ever wonder why people are like, oh, Delirium mod gives so much money. Yeah, it's because you max out everything and then it just drops like infinite stuff. So basically, this is mapping in a nutshell. You drop 4 curses on enemies, hit them with the Hexblast, they die, you get loot. One day we'll do a simulacrum. I just haven't really been doing that much. I've been saving them slowly, but I've not like really been going after them. Give me set a shield buff the entire time. Not anymore. So some people might say like this build is kind of wonky because you can't just like hold down the right button and kill things. I mean, I like this kind of builds too, but I'm also the kind of person who like burst. And if you guys ever played like Diablo 2 back in the day, Zeal Paladin, that was actually really fun for me. Alright, boss time. This boss is actually a very bad example of how it should work because I can just stand back here and literally not get hit. You know, all this time, I don't really know why I haven't turned up my loot filter. It's just on semi. Whatever has the highest percent. Man, those are all pretty low. Oh my goodness.
Another thing.
Just to give you an idea, this is what my atlas looks like. Basically finished. The last 3 I don't have are Perandus Manor, Hall of Grandmasters, which I got stuck on literally one boss or one character that I couldn't kill. So basically I have that one. What's our objective? Thomas.
Just need a moment to catch my breath.
86% chance to avoid elemental ailments. That's bad. I didn't read it. All I look for is no LA reflect. Slay the Beyond boss. That's good. Oh god, I could feel that 86% chance miss. I feel the 86%. Look at all those curses just spiraling.
I need more pockets.
Dang it. Dude, I need the twins contract and it just won't drop. This is why, like, oh my god, dude. I haven't done this one, but I need the important one, the twins for... Oh, this contract is like 8 exalts. I don't want to buy it. It is kind of a bad map to show an example on because of the fleet. When they don't resist things like that, you just... Oh god, I don't have inventory. Unlucky. We're actually almost, I wouldn't say almost done with the grind, but 48, or almost 48,000 out of 75. It's just kind of tedious at this point. Oh, I'd say that's done. There's more than 50, don't care. Alright, let's do one more Guardian map and then we'll wrap it up so you guys can see, like, basically, if you guys enjoy this build video or not. Oh, I didn't even know you could put those in there. Alright, that's cool.
Let me tell.
But yeah, I've been playing this game for a really long time, so it's just kinda one of those things where I didn't really look up any guides at the beginning because I was like, hey, I'm just gonna use my knowledge of this game and try to build something. No, it didn't really work out that well. So this is why I'm here showing you guys what I did. And let me see, what kind of... Dude, the Minotaur map still gets me sometimes. Phoenix? Sure, why not? We cannot do Elemental Reflect. Dude, it gave me Elemental Reflect again. Literally cannot do that one. You know, when you're doing a Guardian map, the last thing you really want is unique boss has more life and more AoE and damage. But we're doing it. Alright, cool.
One of my captors refused redemption. He did not
Also, I have some videos earlier on the channel, or if you check the playlist in the description, I have Cyrus Awakening 8 done, Uber Elder, Shaper Elder, and my progression. So in like 2 weeks, what I've done is, I basically, this is the first league I fought Cyrus, and I went from never being close to even unlocking him to being able to kill him on Awakening 8 in a matter of 2 weeks. So if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Just need a moment to catch my breath.
Still sane, Exile?
But yeah, if you guys are actually curious about the calculations and everything using Path to Building, I'll leave my profile in the description, but just check out like the first minute of the video where I mentioned or gone over the things you should probably put in, because it doesn't automatically calculate them. That was a close one. So basically, as long as you get a good ignite on him, and then you Hexblast him, he'll be doing a dot over time, and then after that, it's really just, do you know the mechanics of the fight? This one's a kind of sketch one because didn't really have the best mods on it, but that's okay. You know what you don't have? Unique boss has 80% AoE on an AoE boss.
That stretches the sanity of the mind.
Dude, I get so many constrictor ones. Oh my god. Oh, you guys want to do one more? Sure, we'll do one more.
Let me tell you.
Can we... Is this re-rollable? Oh, not the Elder type. Dang it, dude, I have like 4 pumpkin ones. Minus 12% maximum resistances. Did this one say monster's action speed cannot be modified below base value? So basically, temporal change is broken and doesn't work. And I die faster. YOLO. It's times like these where I know I shouldn't run these mods, but I do anyway, is the reason why I die. But it's okay. I'm at level 95 at 0%. I don't... If I get any other percent or levels, that's cool. But honestly, 93 is a good stopping point where you get all your passives ready.
Just need a moment to reach my death.
Again, really you have to just get one good ignite on the boss, and then it's really just do you know the mechanics of the fight. Which for the most part, I do. I just make a lot of dumb mistakes every now and then, which is why leveling was a struggle. Well, it's not actually not that bad, but you get Hexblast in like your mid-40s, which is not really the level you want to be getting it. Are those 3 different mods? Ooh, that's kind of bad. Alright, might as well. We'll just finish up this map. So if you want to see what happens, like when you don't hex or ignite them, this is what it looks like. So I'm just gonna walk up to an enemy and then hit him with the Hexblast. See how it dies so slow? You're just hitting them with a Hexblast. This is why you're like amplifying the damage with 4 curses, flammability, and all this stuff, LA weakness, and it just multiplies your damage stupidly high. But yeah, that was just a general idea of maps, and mapping itself is really easy. You do tier 16 is fine. Honestly, I could do pretty much every map fine. That's basically how it is. If you want to watch some Uber Elder fights or Cyrus fights, any Warlords, you can find that in the description. But yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed the build. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments, or you can just join the Discord, and we have a channel for Path of Exile as well. So see you guys later.